Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Istani Army's YouTube channel. I'm your host Tabrez. Joining me today we have Debs, Hokistan and Imi. Welcome guys.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
All right, let's get straight into today. On today's discussion, we're going to start off talking about Pakistan's squad. I know we talked quite a bit about it on our last discussion, but I think there's been one or two injuries and one or two call-ups. Then we're going to move on to the inter-squad match that we had, the warm-up match. I think we've got another one on Friday, but we'll talk about the one we've played. There was some interesting performances in that. And then lastly, we'll move on to our opponents, England, who are currently playing the West Indies, and we'll get the guys' view on that. So to kick off with Mohammed Amr, Debs, I'm going to come to you with this one because I know you're a fan of his.
I'm one of his biggest fans, yes.
Yeah, and you've seen him play for Essex. But guys, if you do have something to add, then please do come in. So the call up of Amir back into the squad, Debs, is it a good thing, or should we have gone with somebody else maybe?
No, I think it's a good thing. I think I don't know how it will affect morale of the rest of the team, but they were having to bring somebody else in, weren't they? Because Harris Ralph has tested negative time and again, I presume. Mm-hmm. I mean, he seemed to be a very amenable man when he was at Essex. So hopefully he's friends with his teammates, and they'll be happy for him for the birth of his daughter and be pleased to see him when he arrives on Saturday, I presume. Mm-hmm. I presume he's not going to play Test cricket. He's retired from that, so I presume they're not going to slot him in there.
That's right. I was going to come on to that. With regards to that he's only going to play 3 T20s. Would you have maybe gone for somebody who would have been, an option for the Test side of it as well?
I think he's worth having in a white ball team myself.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I still think he's our most skillful bowler. Guys, do you have any opinion on him?
I think that is definitely. I think it's definitely a good thing that they brought Amir in, because, as he said, he's very experienced. He's played in all conditions all over the world, and even though the 2020 World Cup is not going to happen this October, it's been postponed by 12 months. So we still have an eye on that, really. And playing over here in England in testing conditions is going to be challenging for our bowlers, and I hope that Amir can shed some of his experience, some of his wisdom to some of the younger guys, to some of the junior bowlers. And obviously it's going to help having Waqar Younis on the coaching side as well. So all in all, I'm pleased that he's in the side, and I think that the only way is up for it, really, for all the bowlers that we have in the squad.
Yeah, Amy, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I think, it's the experience that he brings. Though, he won't be playing the Test matches, but he'll be here in time for him. So even like just passing on the knowledge, the condition knowledge, everything else, along with Waqar Younis, it'll actually help the youngsters, because we've got to remember, apart from Abbas, none of the other certain starters, so Shaheen and Naseem, have actually played cricket here. Apart from, I think Naseem, so Shaheen's played one-day cricket. But they haven't played any red ball cricket, so it will actually help them with the knowledge, and obviously his skill set when it comes to white ball cricket, it's like world class. So he'd always benefit the side.
And do any of you guys know when he's gonna arrive? Because it'll be interesting to see if he plays the second intra-squad game.
He's flying tomorrow, isn't he? I believe so. He won't be here for the start of it.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, plus I think he's got to still.
He'll have to isolate.
Yeah, I think he's got to isolate as well for a few.
Right.
I think at least 5 days. I don't know what the limit is, but he's got to isolate as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
But he's had his 2 negatives, and I think he needs to have 2 negatives upon arrival as well. So I think it's 5 days.
So based on our Jofra Archer last week, he had to do 5 days, didn't he? Yeah. So I presume that's the standard.
Yeah, I don't think Jofra did 5 days though. I think he done about. I think on day 4, was it day 5? he started practicing with the team.
Yeah,
That's because they
training.
had the negative tests twice, and they spoke to the West Indies Cricket Board, who were quite happy for him to continue, which is really nice of them.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, personally, I think, where is he, 27 still?
Yeah, I think so. About 27, 28. Still fairly young. He's still got plenty of mileage in him. See, there's this thing about Ahmed where people say that why doesn't he play Test cricket? But there's when think of it as just a normal human being. For 5 years, you could not do any training. You couldn't do anything. You could do training, but you could only play nets. You couldn't even play park cricket with kids.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to not do anything. Your body's gonna, that was a time between the age of 19 and say 24, 25, where his body needed that strengthening. You have them few muscle tears. Vakalinis always talks about them muscle tears, and basically they build your stamina. Your muscles come back stronger. He had none of that, and eventually he knows his body better than anyone else. It's finished. The other thing that we always hear is that he walked away and he owes the team a lot. Accepted, but then who's saying that he hasn't spoken to the cricket board properly? There was a rumor about it 6 months before he actually announced his retirement. He's going to go. So obviously, somewhere that's come out from somewhere, hasn't it? So he must have spoken to him. I can't see him walking out.
The other side to the argument that he's missed a lot of cricket, and we would say Pakistan really don't play that many tests in 1 year, so it wouldn't have been that much of a burden on him. What would you say to that?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. It possibly can be, but then again, even if you're playing, like we're playing now, 7 or 8 test matches in a year, and he's bowling 20 overs each innings, that's 40 overs. It does take, it's a lot of stamina. We go for nets sometimes in an hour, we're finished. I know we're not pro. But we're hugely finished. They are still human.
Some of you, yeah.
They are still human. It takes a lot out of them. How many times have we mentioned it? That wow, you got to respect the fast bowlers who toiled during the game, and he probably knows his body better than anyone else. But I don't know. There's an argument of both sides. There is an argument that he owes the country a lot. They invested a lot into him, pre getting banned and then after getting banned as well. But then there's that flip argument that he knows his body better than anyone else. If he could prolong his white ball career for the next 5 years and maintain a really good standard, I can't see a problem.
Yeah, I think he'll be back, and I think he'll change his mind himself, and he'll be playing Test cricket again. Debs, what do you think about that?
Well, Sohail has come back, hasn't he? Interestingly, after a few years out, I don't know. I don't know his real motivations for it. I mean, his wife is English, isn't she? I believe, but she's clearly living in Pakistan. So, would it make a difference if Pakistan were playing their cricket in Pakistan, where his family are? I don't know. Let's hope that happens very soon.
Just moving the conversation on, guys. Another player that's whenever Pakistan squad is announced, he's always a point of discussion. Is Fawad Alam. Now I know we've got a couple of Fawad Alam fans. They're not here today, but we'll take him anyway. He's not had the best performance in that intra-squad game that we played. What is your view on him? Pakistan are going to come to you. What's your view on Fawad?
The Fawad Alam enigma has been hanging over the Pakistan squad for about 8-10 years now. And I think it's one of those where he was told to go back to domestic cricket and make the runs there, and he's been doing that season after season, I think. So he's recently, over the past year or so, he's been brought into the squad. So he's with the squad now. He's been brought over here to England. I just hope that he's given a chance. I think, unfortunately, I'd be surprised if he gets a long run to make some runs. I don't think he'll be given, 5, 6, 7 matches to see how he goes. I think it'll be 1 or 2 matches and then see what happens. Unfortunately, obviously, our games are going to be played up in Manchester, where we don't have the best record. And as you said, Tabriz, he hasn't made a lot of runs in the inter-squad match that he played a few days ago. So there is pressure on him, no doubt. But I really hope that he can, he can rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion, and he just shows that he has the grit and the determination to succeed at test level. Really, all eyes are going to be on him. There's no escaping that. There's no getting away from that. But for Fawad Alam, it's now or never, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he's 34 now, I think. So yeah, he's getting on a bit. I mean, what do you think the reason behind his selection now is? I mean, surely this should have happened a while ago. I mean, personally, I'm not really a fan of his. But either way, whether to decide if he's got it in him or not, maybe he should have been given a chance a long time ago. I mean, he's 34 now.
Yeah, it's a weird one. A lot of people have been calling for his call up for years. I am particularly like you said, I'm not a fan of his. I sort of prefer batsmen who look technically good, and I think against a moving ball away from Asian conditions, I think he will struggle. But on the flip side, again, if they wanted to give him a chance, it should have been years ago. A lot of people are saying that Misbah should have given him a chance. Well, Misbah was captain as well for a while. Still never played him. We carried some. I know we had a settled 3, 4, 5, 6 at the time with a Shafiq at 6, but there was games where people get suspended, injured, whatever. So he never actually got game time. It's a weird one.
Why?
I don't know. I wish him the best of luck if he plays, but his intra-squad game, I think, unless he performs in the one that starts, I think, is it tomorrow or the day after? Unless he performs in that, I can't see him playing.
Why has he been excluded for so long? What's the story with him? England have got some players like that you really think. So Sam Northeast, that's now at Hampshire, cannot believe that he's not been picked into that England team, and he won't be now, I don't suppose. So what's this? Why doesn't he get picked?
I think that part of the reason why he hasn't been picked, Debs, is because we've got some hangers-on in the team over the past 5, 6 years, and there are people that, whether or not Fawad Alam is good enough for the test squad, that's a different story. But we have people in the squad who, where they were 5, 6 years ago, they just haven't been able to cut it. But unfortunately, they haven't been, respectfully left the side when they reached their peak and then just moved away. They've stayed with the team, they stayed in the squad, and they've just hung on. And because of that, a lot of the younger players, the juniors, they've not been able to come into the squad. I mean, you're going to get that no matter what team you look at, but I think that's definitely a factor that stifled not just his progression, but a lot of other younger batsmen over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, really.
So why is that allowed to happen in the Pakistan team? Because do they have central contracts like England do?
They do.
I think they do. I think there are, unfortunately, there are a lot of internal politics that are happening within the team. I think a while ago there used to be the Karachi fan base and the Lahore fan base and the Rawalpindi fan base, and used to have journalists that used to sing their local players' praises as well. So that obviously all plays into it. And then if one player, I don't know, just say from one particular city gets dropped from the squad, you then suddenly get a whole city getting behind that player, and in the media there's a push to get that player back into the team. And sometimes there are selection decisions made where we just can't offer a logical explanation for that other than favoritism. When we start looking at players' statistics, granted that doesn't tell the full story sometimes, but when the statistics don't always back up the player, whether it's in domestic or even international. Some of these players are being played all over the world for 10, 12, 15 years, and in certain countries, they just can't do it. But yet they still have players that are pushing for them to go into the team. And that's the point where I start questioning, do you want the player to succeed, or do you want the country to succeed? And for me, it's always the country should be number one. Pakistan should always be number one. No player is bigger than the country. I think that that's a major factor for, for any of the younger players that have struggled to make it into the team.
I think another thing that goes against Fawad, and maybe it shouldn't, but he's just not easy on the eye. I mean, if you were to watch him bat, technically, I know people, to count that, a lot of people use the argument of Shiva and Chang ball, but
as well,
what do you guys make of that? I mean, is it because he doesn't look technically sound, or
that shouldn't be an issue, should it? I mean, Steve Smith, one of the very best batsmen in the world, it seems to have no technical side to his game whatsoever. But he's one of the best, gets some of the best results in the world, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Go on to me. No, go on to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, but is Stephen Smith batting like in knots while the game's happening in Leeds? Because that's where Fawad Alam seems to be batting. I mean, it's like literally in a different ground. He's completely away. It's very, very uneasy on the eyes. And you wonder that, against the short ball or the moving ball, can he actually cope? You would never know the answer until he's actually given a game.
So
the other thing I was going to say, we talk about Fawad Alam, but I mean, like, we've lost plenty of players. Who remembers Asim Kamal, right? He very, very good batsman, and he had I think 4, 5, 90. Like, he scored in the 90s, including the 99, and basically he got dropped, and he never got picked again because he never got 100. But in his first 5 or 6 tests, he had like 4 or 5 90 scores, so he's like 90 plus. He just could not get over that line, and he actually got dropped. And he was a wonderful player. So we've had that in the past.
So he performs tomorrow, guys. In the next match, in the next warm-up match, what happens? Do you get him into the squad, and if so, where?
Who do you leave out to put him in?
Kamar?
So I would play him. If he, as you say, if he makes the score in the next game, I'd play him somewhere in the middle order. Maybe around 5 or 6. I think I'd be tempted just to give him that one game, just to see whether he can cut it. As in, he says, can he actually cut it against the moving ball? Really, because in Manchester, it's probably going to be overcast. It's going to be swinging and seaming conditions, so the ball is going to be moving. Can he cut it against Anderson, who will be playing in his home ground? So I'd definitely include him 5 or 6. Give him a run, see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And I think he mentioned on our WhatsApp group, he's not bowled much. I mean, he used to bowl earlier in his career, and he's not bowled much. Do you think that would harm his selection chances?
Fawad Alam?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't play Fawad Alam as an all-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. I'd say I'd put him in for his batting, not for what he offers with his bowling. It's batting and fielding for me. If he makes the cut on those, then I put him in. I think the bowling is a complete afterthought for the captain, for the selectors. I wouldn't take that into consideration at all, because at most I think it'd be a case that if you get a couple of the England batsmen who get in a run, make a good partnership, then the captain might throw the ball to Fawad. Say he's a couple of overs before tea, see if something can happen. I mean, we saw it in the England West Indies game, the second test as well. Things happen, but no way would I consider Fawad Alam a frontline or even a second line bowler.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked is because we're currently struggling for all rounders, and perhaps if he'd carried on with the bowling side of his game, it might give him a stronger shout to get in the team. Imi?
Yeah, again, it would, but he doesn't bowl at all. Even the intra-squad game, he didn't bowl. And I think he used to bowl, but since he became captain in domestic cricket, back in Pakistan, he actually didn't bowl himself. So basically, he ruled himself out that way. See, the thing is, do Pakistan play 5 bowlers? They would want to play 5 bowlers in these conditions. But they're not going to. But
I was going to come on to the spinners. So, would you play a spinner in the Test matches?
You know what? I would actually play the 4 seamers, and have Iftikhar as my spinning all rounder. Just the way England have just gone with West Indies have gone with Roston Chase. I'll do exactly the same thing.
So where's Iftikhar batting?
Number 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Rizwan or him, 1 at 6, 1 at 7, and then you've got 5 batsmen ahead of him, which for me would be there'll be Abid Ali and Shan opening. You have Babar at 3, Azhar at 4. Sorry, Azhar at 3, Babar at 4, Asad Shafiq at 5. And then I'd have either Rizwan or Iftikhar, either 1, 6 and 7. And then I'd have the 4 seamers after that. Now, the 4 seamers, Shaheen, Abbas, and Naseem are shoo-ins. You've got the position number 4 available. Do you go with Sohail Khan, who, again, it's a risk because I don't know if he's got the stamina to play 5-day cricket still. So I don't think you can go that route. The other 2 options are either Fahim Ashraf. Again, it's a massive risk because you're going for the all-rounder, if you want to call him that. Or Usman Shinwari. Just go with someone who will give you short bursts. He can bowl a long spell, but he more than likely will give you a short burst, but he gives you a wicket-taking ability. He'll bowl with the old ball, he'll bowl with the new ball. He'll bowl when things are tough. He'll just keep running in.
Debs, your view on the spin option?
Well, they're saying, aren't they, that actually that wouldn't be, that wicket's not going to be any good for spinners. So I don't know whether England are going to play. I think they need to look at what happens in this next match. I mean, talking Roston Chase just does magical things against England, doesn't he? Don't think he's much of a bowler, but there's just something about him and England.
Moeen Ali? Doesn't he remind you a bit of Moeen Ali, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, and there, of course, Moeen's not in the Test team, is he? He's going to vice captain.
No, I'm just saying Roston Chase reminds me of Moeen Ali as a bowler. It doesn't look threatening at all, but he does a very good job.
Yeah. We'd be interested to see whether they play best. I mean, he's the only spinner in the England squad for tomorrow. I'd look and see what happens with him before thinking about a spinner.
Augustin, coming to you. What do you think, spinner or?
I think that Debbie makes a really good point there. It's have a look at what happened in the next match. I mean, if you look at the England team in the previous game against West Indies, Dom Bess, I don't think he had the best of games. The ball wasn't spinning that much. I think the other thing that we've got to bear in mind is that there's no saliva, nothing being put on that ball either. So that's obviously going to be playing into it. So, does that mean that your wrist spinners are being called more into action, which then brings into the quandary Yasir Shah, who has got a good record back in England. I think when he came last time when he played, but I think it just depends on what happens at the next game. If that wicket is not spinning that much, then would you be tempted to leave them out and then maybe have one of the batsmen do a few overs of spin? But I think the way it currently stands at the moment, I'd be tempted to put in a spinner just to give us that option.
Who though?
My heart says Yasir Shah, and I know that that's wrong. I know that's a quite controversial thing to say, because his record as of late over the past couple of years has not been good. And for me, I always look at the fielding aspect as well. I don't think Yasir Shah has been one of the most nimble Yeah, he's not been one of the most nimble
He's
guys.
a good catcher, though. He's a good catcher.
Yeah, he's a good catcher, but he's not a good runner after the ball.
No.
Not the ball, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's difficult to make a decision now until you actually look at that third test, like Deb said, and then we can assess the situation really. But the spinner as a whole is going to be touch and go really because of the nature of the wicket. We're in Manchester. There's less influence you can have on the ball really with with all the sweat that you can put on it. So yeah, I think whatever decision we decide to make for the first test, there's definitely going to be some unhappy people. No doubt about it.
I think the problem we have, if not Yasser, then who? Because Shadab, I mean, I was speaking to Debs earlier, and in the intra-squad game we had, Fakar, who actually went on a rampage. It was actually Shadab he took to task with his 6 sixes.
Oh.
And so if not Yasser, I mean, would we play Kashif Bhatti? I mean, is he an option, Amy?
It possibly could be. Again, it'll be a risk because you're bringing conditions that he doesn't really know well, and they're not exactly spin friendly. I know it was just mentioned just now that Yasser had a decent record here, but his record was okay in the London tests. But as soon as you go out of London, the record wasn't very good, and these conditions are really not made for spinners. It's a tricky one. The other flip side again, like you look at the say things weren't going good, you want someone to just come out and just bowl a few overs on one side, just hold up one end for the next 10-15 overs. If you don't play a spinner, you can't do that either. So it's a tricky one, but they've got to make the decision. I think they need to wait on the conditions, weather conditions, and the pitch, and then make their call. Making a call too early sort of just like just won't work. But it's going to be a very important call, and we won't probably know the answer until like the morning of the first test.
Moving on, guys, to and this is a question that's coming from Akil. It's who will be your number 7 for the first test against England?
That's something I just mentioned. That is where they're stuck. So that's your spinner or your all-rounder or your second fast bowler, because I think everyone's thinking that Rizwan will bat a 6. But even if Fawad Island plays, there'll be a case that he might bat a 7. He might bat a 6 and then Rizwan goes at 7. But it's that one position that's still up for grabs, and no one's got a clue what they're going to do.
Debs, who did you have down at 7?
I think Fahim Ashraf, but we were saying before, Pakistan don't really have an obvious all-rounder, do they, really, at the moment? They don't have a Ben Stokes. Not many people have a Ben Stokes, but they don't necessarily have an obvious all-rounder to go into that position.
I saw a quote up here.
Needed someone to come in and make it their own, really.
I think it's from Irfan Pathan. Sorry to mention Indian cricketer, but he said something like, if we had a Ben Stokes, then we'd be the best team in the world or something like that.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. And then all the arguments after about who they do.
I've got a reaction to that.
Go for it.
I'm scared. Seriously. Ben Stokes is so... You get one in 10 years, 15 years. If he continues the way he's going, he'll easily be, right up there with the greatest all-rounders ever. I'm not saying he'll be the greatest, but he'll be counted amongst the greatest that were ever born. So he is that good. Whether he's going to get there or not, I've got a feeling that he's in a couple of years' time, he'll probably just be more of a batsman who can bowl a little, because he's had his injury problems. So that's a completely different thing. But he's a champion cricketer. I think I tweeted out a couple of days ago, the best cricketer in the world at present. I had a lot of tweets saying no, Kohli. Not at the moment. It's Ben Stokes. If I had to pick up one player, any format, and I said, right, this guy's got to be in my World 11, the first name that will go in there is Ben Stokes.
I think he went off with a niggle. Are you a bit concerned about that, Debs, or do you think you'll be all right?
He's always a concern. His knee is always a concern, isn't it?
It's just the way he plays, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And everything he does, isn't it? I mean, excuse the cat. His bowling is always a worry, and he tends to allow himself to be over bowled, really, when his body can't take more than a few overs. So yeah, that is a concern. I mean, they're talking this time that he might not bowl, aren't they?
Yeah, I think he was captain in the first test, wasn't he? So he kind of probably felt the pressure to come on and do something.
He was actually coming over the wicket. You could see he's struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And he would come over the wicket and he was banging into the pitch and looking for the short ball. It's just this way he is. He can't play cricket like, in second gear. He fully gives it, and that's why it makes him a champion cricketer, because he's a winner. He's got the mentality of a winner. He's got the ability of a winner.
Okay, Stone, you're number 7.
Yeah, so I just want to say that we've talked about Ben Stokes, and there's no denying that he's playing absolutely amazingly at the moment. I think the dangerous thing from a Pakistan perspective, though, is that where we would say, who's our Ben Stokes? And that's completely the wrong way to go by it. When you start saying, who's our Ben Stokes, you're automatically saying, right, who's going to be our best player in the world? Who's going to be the best all-rounder? And we're not going to do that. You're not going to get that overnight. Whoever you put into that position, you say, oh, we need you to train, we need to bring you up to be our Ben Stokes in the team. Deb's mentioned it, that we've struggled with a stable all-rounder for a few years now. But how can you go from that to saying, yeah, we need a Ben Stokes? We're not going to do that. I've seen on social media over the past few days, people are comparing, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but people are comparing Fahim Ashraf to Ben Stokes. And it's just completely laughable. Why do
it's a joke, though. It's a joke.
All right, okay.
This is just a joke, yeah. We're calling him our
angry
Ben Stokes, the version that can just barely bat and bowls.
Yeah, I think that going back to the original question about who bats at number 7, I'd put Rizwan there. If Fawad Alam does play, I'd put him at 6. He's a batsman. Let him go there in a batting position and let him do what he will hopefully do best, and then move over to Rizwan at 7, and then you start looking at the bowlers. But I think Rizwan got a century in the intra-squad match. So yeah, he's made his case. Yeah, Safraz is in the team. So Safraz is in the squad, but Rizwan is there. Give him a chance. And for me, I will always judge the keeper on what they do behind the stumps, not on not how many runs that the keeper scores. It's always what he does behind the stumps. That for me is the number one thing. But yeah, Rizwan at 7 for me.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're not a big fan of Kamran Akmal? Let's leave it there. Let's move on.
You're gonna get me turning into the host now. You know, I'll say to you.
No, I thought you meant to keep him behind, so I thought, I'll just right now.
I'm gonna come outside your house right now and tell you how much what I think.
The next point of discussion I want to bring up, guys, is our youngsters. Because Waka Yunus made an interesting point. He said that although we bank on our experienced players, but throughout Pakistan's history, you see the youth, they always lift Pakistan, whether it's like 92 or 2009 or the Champions trophies. So I want to put it to you guys, which youngster do you see shining on this tour, in the tests in particular?
Nazim. He's already got a fifer, didn't he? In the Team Green v Team White. I'm just so upset we want to be there to see him. I hope he comes, and I shouldn't be saying it really, because I'm English, but I really hope he comes and demolishes that top order. I really I'd love to see it.
Yeah, good shout, Debs. Your youngster that you think will make a name for himself?
Yeah, I agree with Debs. It's Naseem Shah for me. We've always had a really long history of getting young fast bowlers into the squad, 17, 18, 19 years old, and bringing them in, and then they just shocked the world. I think although we know Naseem Shah, he's not that well known on the world stage. I'm hoping that plays into our hands with England. I was talking to a few of my friends who support England a few days ago, and they've never heard of him. So although obviously the England coaching staff will have done their homework on Naseem Shah, I'm just hoping that he comes in and he shows the world what he can do on that world stage. He's got the whole world ahead of him. He's already hitting 90 miles an hour, 90 miles plus an hour. So, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get stronger. And with Waqar Younis that he has in the team, Waqar Younis was the same. He came into the team as a young teenager, completely fast. He just used to shatter the stumps. And Waqar Younis in the 90s, he did it time and time again in England. So with that experience in the team, I'm just hoping that Naseem shows the world what he can do.
Awesome. Amy, you gonna go for Naseem as well? Or?
Well, he could be the obvious pick, but no, I'm not gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with the left. I'm gonna go for the left arm piece. Shane. Everyone forgets that he's only 20 odd, and he is. He's already established himself as our leading one-day bowler, and he's virtually leading the Test attack as well now. Again, these sort of conditions could be absolutely perfect for him. He seams it both ways, he swings it both ways, he gets reversed, he's got the pace. And with the World Cup here last year, I know it's white ball cricket, but he's bowled in these conditions already now. So he'll have an idea on how it goes. And again, with Waqar around and Ahmed sort of arriving just before then, he'll get valuable experience out of them guys.
And remember, actually, although I know the two balls do behave so differently, but actually, perhaps without the added conditions for the red ball, it might not behave quite so differently to a white ball this time round.
It's possible, very, very possible. Again, it all comes out, but Pakistan are very, very good at reverse swinging the ball. So if the conditions are remotely in favour, so you get a slightly abrasive pitch, or there's the they can get the ball shined enough with the sweat, they will be a handful against that England top order, which is far from convincing at the moment.
Did you see? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say at that point that the Sky Sports showed a stat, I think on the third or fourth day of the second game against the West Indies, that how much the ball is actually moving, how much sideways movement that was happening, because there's no saliva, it's just sweat. And the commentators were saying that there's obviously, as expected, there's not as much sideways movement as you'd get if you could use saliva. So I'd imagine that that's going to be playing into the reverse swing. So I agree with you, Amy, that if there is a hint of reverse swing, then our bowlers will hopefully exploit that to its fullest. But I just want to kind of temper our expectations on that they might not be able to do what we expect them to do because of that no saliva issue.
I mean, that's our bowling youngsters, but I know, Debs, you like this youngster of ours, Haider Ali, the batsman.
Yes.
Do you guys think he'll get a chance? Maybe not in the tests, in the T20s, and how do you think he'll do, Debs?
Why can't he go in the tests? Well, I know he probably won't, but yeah, I think he'll do brilliantly in the white ball. I think he's an incredibly exciting young batsman. But would you absolutely 100% not put him in tests at all, or?
I think it's a little bit too early, especially in like an England away series. It's not going to be an easy series.
That, isn't it?
So it's like, but you know what? Eventually, as we say, that number 6 pot is available. He will be ideal. It'd be ideal to start off as a number 6 and then moving gradually up again. We all know he's going to become an opening batsman, but he as a player, he'd be ideal at number 6. So moving like on to the future series when we sort of go back into hopefully Pakistan, he'll be an ideal number 6, and eventually as an opener. And talking about openers, I don't think we've had a series in England ever where we've actually started with the same openers and, like, say 3 tests later or 4 tests later, have ended up with the same openers. I'm just hoping Abid and Sean prove us wrong this time, or sort of prove that record wrong this time, and make it do. I mean, the only other option on the bench there's 2 options. There's Fakr Zaman, but we can't really see him playing tests. I think he's only played a couple, and there's Imam. It could be a tricky little road for us with the opening batsman.
Let's come on to that. I was going to come on to the warm-up games, but now you mentioned Fakr. He made 99 of 128 balls. I think, was it fourth day pitch, including 6. So has he given the selection committee a headache? Has he thrown his hat in the ring? Hokistan, coming to you. Fakr as an opening tests.
I think it's risky to go with him opening in tests, really. I think his credentials so far have been for white ball cricket. I'm not sure whether he has the temperament, the skill set to succeed at test level. I think he said that, what was it, 99 off 120 odd balls. You're not going to get that in tests all the time. If you're scoring centuries and you're going to be doing that off, I don't know, 160, 170, 200 plus balls, really, you're not going to be doing it at such a fast pace. You want someone as an opener who can get in there, take the shine off the ball, protect the numbers 3 and 4 from the new ball swing, really, and just to dull the ball. Really, you don't want him to try and smash it for 6 boundaries, 6s, 4s, and something every couple of balls. So I personally haven't seen Fakr be doing that. So I don't know if you guys have, but because of that, and especially in England again. Anderson and Broad, I wouldn't risk Fakr in opening in test at all.
Good point. And I was going to ask, so who would you go with to open tests? Because Abid, he did go off injured. I think it was Haider Abid Ali was fielding at short leg, and he got hit by a shot from Haider, and he had to go off. So. Who are your openers?
I think Abid will start if he's fit, and I think he should be okay, and it'll be Sean with him. But again, like this next sort of practice game is going to be quite important for them to actually get runs, because Sean, for example, got 2 starts, but it didn't carry on. So they need to make these starts carry on. But I think they both have done enough in the recent past to sort of cement their place for the first test anyhow.
I think one worry I had was our captain, not even necessarily his captaincy, but his own performance. I know he scored 100 in the intra-squad match of 225 balls, and although he had a poor season in 2019 for Somerset, Debs, you would have followed that. Are you confident that Azhar will do well?
I think he did okay, didn't he, for Somerset? I don't think he had a poor season, did he?
Yeah, it was average, to be honest. Yeah, in the
someone from his class, I think it was pretty normal.
I think I like Azhar. I think he's a good player. I like him.
Yeah. Do you expect him to score big?
Someone's going to need to, but yeah, let's hope so. Let's back him. He's got 120. I'm going to back him to bat on with our favourite, with Babar, and get some good runs.
I know you just said someone has to. That number 4 is not too bad, is he?
Oh, that's right, of course. Yeah,
but yeah, obviously he needs some support around him. Azhar getting 100 is like, hopefully he kicks on from there, because that should have built his confidence. And Rizwan has looked quite good. Yeah. So
he got a decent innings.
Again, I've been really concerned about is Asad Shafiq. I know he got some runs in this inter-squad game, but I've been quite concerned about him lately, because he became a player that under Misbah and Yunus, when they were around, he was a mainstay at number 6, and he always sort of, he was always reliable enough. after they went, he had to really lift his game and then become the senior like they were. Has he done it? No. He's been far too inconsistent. In fact, he hasn't been holding that pressure. This could like be the series where it could be he might be dropped after this, or he could cement his place for the next couple of years. It's a big series for him at 5.
I think that the point to remember that is with us as a fake, you bring up a really good point that he's been inconsistent. But when you look at how many tests Pakistan have played over the past 12 or 24 months, it's not that many really, and he only plays in tests. He's doesn't play in the white ball game at all. Good so point. Is that enough time for him to get into the swing of things? Because we don't really play 5 test series against any country, I don't think. But the most I think is 4 tests. I think maybe the last 4 tests we played was against England in 2016. I don't think we played any since. So it's not an excuse at the end of the day, but I'm just trying to situate from his side that's something else that we have to consider, that it's, one thing playing for, a few weeks at that really high level, and then you just drop down to domestic level for another 3, 4, 5 months. Then you come back up and then you go back down for another 3, 4 months. So you've got to bear that in mind. But I think that for me, that, whether we look at the openers, Azhar, etc., Rizwan, whatever, but the key 2 batsmen for me are going to be Babar Azam and Asad Shafiq. They're almost going to be the Yunus Khan, Misbah ul Haq for me. Whatever happens at the top of the order, but in the middle order, it has to be Babar Azam and Asad Shafiq. If they stay, I think we'll be able to post huge scores. If they don't, then it's going to put more pressure on our bowlers.
Well, on your point, Hawkistan, Imi, do you know if Asad's been over here in the county game? Do you think he should be playing more?
No, he hasn't. No.
Yeah, so maybe that's
someone who doesn't play a lot of cricket, because he plays the first class season in Pakistan and he plays Test cricket, so he doesn't play a lot of cricket. So obviously, as Hawkistan just mentioned, that does take effect. Yeah. But you look at it, and something very interesting that I saw the other day was a little comparison per player, and I'm just going to quickly go into this. You look at the 2 England openers, so you got Burns and Sibley, and if you compare them to ours, Abid and Shan, you get a very similar sort of thing. You get you got 2 openers who they might get some runs if they stick in, or you could be 2 down very quickly. So the opening slots are very similar. You move to number 3, and England have got Crawley at the moment, and you got Azhar. So I think Azhar just nicks it against Crawley. Yeah. 4, you got Root and Babar. I mean, that's a pretty good contest. Mm-hmm. At 5, you got Asad Shafiq and Ben Stokes. I think Ben Stokes nicks that one, but again, it sort of evens itself up. Then you got number 6, and England have got Pope again. Like, he's going to be under immense pressure, especially if he doesn't have a great third test. And Pakistan will probably have Iftikhar or Fawad Alam. So again, it'll be like someone who's just come into the side, immense pressure. You got the 2 wicket keepers. You got Rizwan, who's just got 100, and you got Butler, a very, very similar quality in Test cricket. And then you got the fast bowlers. If you look at Archer, you got Naseem, the quick fast bowler, the one who's going to get you wickets. X Factor. You've got for Broad, you've got Shaheen. You've got Anderson. You've got Abbas. It's very, very similar. The quality in the 2 teams is very, very similar if you look at it that way.
Should be a good contest. It's a shame there aren't any matches in London. They do like London, don't they?
Well, I was saying that today. I got a notification today. I'd set it on my phone and I completely forgot to delete. And it said for the 30th, which is next Thursday. So it's Thursday today. So it's telling me like next week Thursday.
We've been at Lord's.
I was supposed to be at Lord's.
Yeah.
There we are. So it was a reminder that didn't actually help the situation.
Guys, before we move on to the England squad, another standout from the warm-up game was Rizwan, of course. He got 50 and then 100.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that coming? And where's it come from? Possibly pressure that Sarfaraz is in the squad. Hokistan, coming to you.
I mean, having someone like Sarfaraz in the squad as a keeper will obviously put pressure on you, because you know that's someone who's been there, he's been in the team, he's played all over the world for Pakistan. So that's obviously going to put pressure on them. And, you know, it's a sink or swim kind of situation for him, because if he doesn't perform, he knows that there's someone there who the selectors will put in as the keeper straight away. So he's doing what he can. He's risen to the occasion. He's getting the runs. And I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything about him making any keeping mistakes in that match at all. So, which is always a good thing. If you don't hear anything about keeping, then it normally means that there's no problems with it. So he's risen to the occasion. So he's done everything he can to at least get his place into that first test on the 5th of August. So that's fine for me. It's he's a shoo-in really for the keeper slot on 5th of August for me.
I mean, your view on that, because I know a lot of people judged Rizwan on his PSL performances, and I don't think it's really fair on him. So in terms of the keeper,
it's completely different though, isn't it?
Yeah,
you got T20 cricket, and then you've got Test cricket, and he hasn't done much wrong for him to be dropped. And in fact, he's in the performance in the last game, he sort of proved himself. I thought Sarfaraz was a bit unlucky. He was on 26 not out when his team won the game, so you know he was batting pretty raw as well at the stage. But I think the team's going to be Rizwan's going to play, and in the T20s, I think they're going to give Sarfaraz a go. So I think that's how they're going to go. I can't see Rizwan being the T20 batsman.
No problem, guys. Let's move on to the England squad now. I mean, one of the concerns I had with the West Indies series going first, I'm sure I shared it with you, is that it'll give England a chance to, make some changes, see what's working and what's not. And that's exactly what they've done. So do you think we'll be facing a stronger England than West Indies have? Coming to you, Debs?
Yeah, I think it has to, being in a competitive situation must give them an advantage, mustn't it? I mean, I know warm-up games well and good, but that is working with your friends, isn't it? That you know really well. Yes, potentially. I mean, from an England point of view, they have to hope that people stay injury-free. I mean, it was very clear. I don't know if you saw Gabriel on day 5. He looked exhausted, actually. So I do think they've got to carry on doing what they have been doing and do this rotation, because it's a lot of cricket to play in a short space of time when they haven't had any cricket for months on end. I think I am going to jump on the Ben Folkes bandwagon, but I think they're going to stick largely with what they've got. They aren't necessarily going to bring anybody new in. I'd quite like to see Dan Lawrence given a chance, but I'm not so sure I want him to be facing Nazim and Shaheen, as he's an Essex player. I think I'd rather keep him away from them. But yeah, I think it must be an advantage for England.
Yeah, and Hokistan, what do you think about that? Are we going to be facing a stronger England?
I don't know is the honest answer to that question, because you'd ideally think that, okay, England are going to be trying out their combinations, but it's not a county game. They're still playing at test level. They're still playing for the test championship points. Yeah, they can see who's good, who's not. But, and they're not, the thing is, England aren't just playing back-to-back tests. They're playing back-to-back throughout the whole 6 tests. Normally you might play back-to-back for a couple of tests, but then you'll have a week and a half off.
Yeah.
So England have also got the rotation thing in the back of their mind. And I think at the end of the second test, they said that, Debs, I think you mentioned it, that Stokes had a couple of injury niggles as well. So even though ideally, as we said, Ben Stokes would always be engraved in stone on that team sheet, but is he going to be fit enough to play? So that might work against England as well. That you're playing people that so often. Stokes has played first 2 tests. He's going to play the third test as well. That's 3 tests in a short amount of time. And he's not just a batsman. He's not just a bowler. He's not just a fielder. He does everything. Can he carry on doing that for a couple of months? And with a couple of injuries, are England going to want to risk him as well? For the full 3 tests as well. So that's what I mean, that it could work in England's favour, but I think that it will also work against them as well. As in that we won't be facing England's best team throughout the whole 3 tests.
Amy, your views on that?
The one big advantage they've got is going to be match practice, because there's been no county cricket, for example. Pakistan's last games were against Bangladesh. International wise, and then obviously the PSL before it got cancelled. But it's been a long time, so that's one thing. One positive England going to get out of this is a bit of match practice. But if they end up making changes, whoever's going to come in is going to be rusty as well. You just don't know who's actually match fit, who's in decent form, because there's no games going on. So either way, I don't think it'll make much of a difference. Pakistan are here quite early. They're getting used to the conditions as well, albeit playing against each other. But I think it'll be fine. And I can't see England making many changes as well because of that, especially with the batting lineup, knowing that players are not really getting game time elsewhere. So it's a risk changing your team around. But yeah, with the fast bowlers, I can't see the same fast bowlers playing all the way through. So, for example, Archer, I'd probably play 2 out of the 3 tests. Same as maybe Anderson, maybe same as Broad. I can't see them playing all the way through. I think that, and Curran as well. I think they're all going to end up rotating again. Yeah. They won't play the same 3 fast bowlers all 3 games. It's just not going to happen.
Well, now that
we're going to be taking that risk. I think we're going to be taking that risk, but I don't think they will be.
Yeah,
we're playing 3 and they're playing 6.
Yeah. Debs, I want to ask you about Anderson, because I mean, watching him in the first test, it's like I thought he's lost a spring in his step, and they've obviously rested him for the second one. Yeah. And do you think we're seeing the end of Anderson, and do you think he'll play all 3 tests against us?
I think we are, unfortunately, probably seeing the end of him. And no, I don't think again. I don't know whether he's going to play tomorrow. It's his home ground. You suspect that they pick him. I don't think you will see him playing 2 tests in a row, actually. Yeah. So no, I don't think he can play 2 tests in a row. I don't think Wood can play 2 tests in a row. I think the others probably can. I think Curran, for example. I mean, he funny enough, he would be one of the first on my team sheet as well. Because he makes things happen, and he's got that left arm variation that is so blatantly missing when he's not playing. But I think we've got. I think whether they're going to want Jimmy to go to Australia, I don't know. But he's coming to the end of his career. It will be a shame if it's not in front of crowds.
Yeah.
But isn't he about 12 wickets away from 600?
Yeah, he's not far, is he? But
about 12 wickets, I think it is. Whether that's a motivation for him at the moment. I'm not saying he's going for personal glory, but
I mean, if he gets it against us, would you maybe tip him?
Yeah, I think it's his last summer. It's his last English summer anyhow. He might go Australia this winter, but I think it's his last English summer. He's not going to be here next season.
No, I agree. Which is a shame. Really deserves to finish his career in front of big crowds. Really, he has been amazing. Really, so it will be a shame. But
before we wrap up, I need your predictions, and this is for the test series. Yeah. So Debs, we're going to go with you first.
I'm going to go 2-1 for England. I'm afraid on this one.
Pakistan.
2-1 Pakistan.
Oh, Imi, decider.
2-1 West Indies. That's for tomorrow. I'm going for 1-1.
Oh, we've got a lot of rain coming, haven't we?
Okay.
Yeah, or I could see one game, somewhere down the line becoming a draw.
Can I'll change mine to Imi's. I like that.
All right, then you change it. I've got 2-1 Pakistan.
Okay.
That's it. We win. We win the series.
Yeah. I just like to say one last thing. Yeah, is that over the past 10, 15 years, Pakistan has struggled with their openers. It's been a constant bane in our team, and it's been an ongoing problem. Over the past few weeks, I've got a friend who supports England, and I've had so much joy in talking to him about openers, because England are going through testing times at the moment with their openers, and after suffering that from him for a full decade, the tables are turned now. So that's going to be a key thing for England. Who are their openers? Who are going to face that the new red ball from our opener? So that's a key thing, because that's going to basically set the tone for the series, really.
I think especially with our attack, I think you're right, that will be key. Awesome, guys. Thank you for that. I think that just about wraps it up for today. My thanks to Debs, Imi, and Holkistan, and of course everybody for watching, and anyone who sent in their questions. You can contact any of us at the bottom there. That's our Twitter handles, and please do check in again. Obviously, before the beginning of the first test, we will be going live again and throughout the series as well. Thanks a lot, and assalamu alaikum.